You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt. Welcome back, On Air with Chris Shanafelt, and we are less than 1 hour away from the Chicago Bears playoff game. They host the Philadelphia Eagles, first playoff game for the Chicago Bears franchise in 8 seasons since the NFC North Championship game against the Green Bay Packers, in which ended with the Packers winning at Soldier Field and going on to lift the Lombardi Trophy. When things all ended that season 8 years ago. This time around, hopefully it's a different story. So a lot of excitement. Again, we're about 52 minutes away from kickoff, and this special show is, of course, brought to you guys by the NFL Draft Bible, NFLDraftBible.com, bringing you the names that you need to know first. Since 2002, we had a great prospect interview this morning with Darius Harris, linebacker out of Middle Tennessee State University. He'll be playing at the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl later on this month, so be on the lookout for him and those prospect interviews in general. But right now, it is my pleasure to welcome onto the show a friend of the show. He joined the show about a year ago exactly, actually. He is former NFL wide receiver, former Chicago Bears draft pick, Jamin Elliott, and also former college teammate of the Bears head coach, Matt Nagy. And Jamin joins the show now. Jamin, really appreciate you taking some time on some short notice to join the show. How's everything going?
Everything's going great, man. Good to talk to you, Christian. How's everything with you?
Everything's great, man. Everything's great. A little over a year ago, there was some rough times, rough goings for this franchise and the Chicago Bears. And I remember talking to you, and after our conversation, I felt good about the Matt Nagy hiring, even before our conversation. But after our conversation, I felt 10 times better. There was a quote that I even sent to you again yesterday. You said, give him 2-3 years and he'll be the coach of the year. And, go figure, he didn't even need that much time. It looks like you could give the coach of the year to Frank Reich in Indianapolis, but I don't know if there's anybody that's done a better job than what Matt Nagy has done here in Chicago. But what are your thoughts on your former college quarterback taking over this franchise and really turning it around in no time?
You know what? It's funny, man. Like I'm so proud of him, man. Like I say, I didn't know that the success would come this soon. I knew I was confident in what I said because I know what type of leader he is. I know what type of person he is, and I knew that his infectious attitude and kind of how he goes about business, I knew that would rub off on the team. And I knew it would rub off at some point. I just didn't know it would be this soon. And it's funny, man. I think having Khalil Mack and the defense playing the way it was, that helps out a lot as well. But like I said, I've been in locker rooms with this guy. I've been on the field with this guy. I know how this guy competes. And I knew that, like I say, the way he brings people together and how he comes across to people would definitely be a plus for the Bears, man. And I'm excited to see him get to his first playoff game today, and hopefully they get a win out of it. But no matter what happens, man, either way, I feel like it's definitely a successful season and it's definitely something to build on for years to come.
No doubt about it. 12-4 season. Things got off to a hot start week 1 against the Green Bay Packers, Sunday Night Football at home. They got off to a really hot start. Green Bay ends up coming back and winning that game. I've been on the record and saying I've never felt so high about a game and then felt so low. But even in that one game,
right,
you could tell the things, the wheels were turning. You could tell that this was going to be a different year, not only offensively, but when you think about the Chicago Bears, you think of defense and what Vic Fangio has done. And I think Nagy being able to bring Vic Fangio back was really crucial for this team and for this defense and the talent that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, just bringing in and acquiring Khalil Mack, I think that kind of well, you tell me, Jamin. You've been in NFL locker rooms when you're on a team that's kind of on the verge. You're not really sure how far you guys can go. And I think that's kind of where the Bears were with the new coaching staff and all that. But then this deal to bring in Khalil Mack, and that's kind of when that everybody's eyes kind of lit up, and they said, okay, that's a we're ready to win now type of move. What does that do to the locker room?
I'm telling you, man, like acquiring a player of Khalil's caliber, it gives the locker room an extra boost, man. It's because he not only brings that veteran leadership, but he brings that mentality that you need, that winner's mentality, that aggressiveness, that type of mentality that you need to push a team over the top, and that leadership. And acquiring him was probably the one of the best things that Chicago could have done, and because it literally took him to another level. And Nagy having, with him being a rookie head coach, I knew that if he would have had a veteran staff around him, that if he could put a staff together around him that's been through the fire before, because he's never been through it before himself. So he's still learning things and going through some growing himself. But I knew that if he had some guys on his staff that had been through the fire before, that eventually it would catch up to him. It would get him going fast a lot sooner than normal. So, man, I'm just, when I say I'm super excited for him, I'm super excited for him, man. And all the success that's coming his way, he deserves it because he's put in the work. And I'm just proud of him, man, and hopefully he can keep it going today.
That's Jamin Elliott, the former Chicago Bears wide receiver, former teammate of Matt Nagy at the University of Delaware, joining us here on air with Chris Shanafelt. And Jamin, you had the opportunity to come back to Chicago, and you've seen them play the New England Patriots, another one of your former teams. The Bears did end up losing that game by one score, by a touchdown. But when they were always in that game, though, and obviously not having Mack that week, that was obviously hurt the team quite a bit. But when you see watching that game and knowing all the success that the Patriots have had, and they're kind of this era's America's team, you can say, with all the success that they've had. When you seen that game and you seen that the Bears were in it and that they're very competitive and they had opportunities to win that game, was that kind of a moment when you thought that this team could do some damage and maybe win the NFC North like they eventually did? Absolutely,
man. The way they played, to play a team that's perennially one of the best teams in the league, and to play them the way they did and to be as close as they did and could almost they had opportunities to win the game. It just fell a little bit short. But to be in the game all the way to the end and almost pulling that off, it showed a lot, and it showed that potential of what this team could be, and what this team turned out to be by the end of the season. So that game, I think sometimes you can learn a lot in a loss. You can learn a lot about a team from a loss, man. And the way they played, and I think they played great. And I think if they would have had all the pieces with Khalil playing at full strength and being there, that could have easily been a win. And their record could have easily been 14-2 this year with two close losses. So I definitely think that gave them the confidence to push through the rest of the season and to know that they can play with anybody. And winning is contagious, man. Once you win one, you want to win more, man. And they continue to compile over the season, man. And it was great to see.
Absolutely, and it's really amazing the turnaround that Nagy and the Bears have had this season alone, and just again 12-4 when the past 5 years were last in the NFC North, and you go from worst to first. And the Bears today, they take on last year's Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, and there's a lot of storylines, a lot of connections, whether it's Alshon Jeffrey coming back to Chicago, whether you got the Long brothers going at it with Kyle and Chris Long, and then obviously the connection between the head coaches, Doug Peterson and Matt Nagy, both coming from the Andy Reid coaching tree and spending about 5 or 6 seasons together. When you look at this year's Chicago Bears team, Jamin, I mean, for me at least, I see a lot of similarities to last year's Philadelphia Eagles team, a team that really came out of nowhere, a team that the defense was playing stellar and offense really stepped it up. They were playing at another level. Now, the Bears' offense isn't at the level that the Eagles' offense was last year, but this defense is certainly something special and certainly something that you can win with. Do you see any similarities between this year's Bears team and last year's Eagles team?
Definitely. From what I can remember, Philly had a top 5 defense last year, and I think the Bears are top 5 or I think tops in like scoring defense or something like that. Am I correct?
Correct.
So they're pretty similar when it comes to that, man. And at this time of the year, the level notches up a little bit, and during the regular season, man, there was a lot of offensive statistics going on and a lot of just firepower offensively. But at this time of the year is when defense tends to reign supreme, man. And no matter where you are and no matter what type of team you are, your defense always travels no matter where you go. So if they ever have to go on the road, the defense always will go with them. So I think this defense is stellar, man. And like I say, Khalil Mack is the head of that, but Akeem Hicks and Eddie Jackson, all those guys have been playing very, very well this year, man. So they're playing like a cohesive unit, and I definitely think with the way they've been playing and the confidence that they have, that this defense can definitely carry them through, just like Philly's defense did last year. So definitely a lot of similarities there, but hopefully the offense can kind of and Trubisky can pick up where they need to pick up, and hopefully Trubisky can have a Nick Foles type season as well, a playoff run.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Again, he's Jamin Elliott, former NFL wide receiver, former teammate of Matt Nagy, joining me here on AIR. And Matt Nagy really preaches about, or he really, every press conference, he's talking about how he wants the fans to be in it, how he wants a loud crowd, and I think this comes with maybe his experience in Kansas City, and we all know about Arrowhead Stadium and how loud that stadium can be come game day, and I think he kind of wants to bring that here to Chicago with the Bears fan base. As a player, I mean, what kind of impact can that have on your team? It's a home playoff game, first time this organization has been in the playoffs since for 8 years. If the Bears fans were to bring it today, I mean, can that really pump up this team, or is that more of just a story? I mean, I guess it's not a story. I mean, this is something that Matt Nagy has really been preaching about all season long, and all week. There's been this. I think it was Chase Daniel, the backup quarterback, and I think even Matt Nagy kind of alluded to it as well, that the opening kickoff, he wants all the fans to yell "boom," and it's been something. Yeah. It's been really crazy. It's been going all over social media. Even the news channels here are picking it up. So, what kind of an impact can that have on a team when the crowd is really in it from opening kickoff to no time left on the clock?
When I say it is a tremendous boost. There's a reason why they call it home field advantage. There's a reason why teams fight to get home field advantage in the playoffs, because your crowd, I'm telling you, they're like the 12th man. And, in critical situations, big third downs, red zone plays, anything like that, that's a critical situation. When your crowd can come alive and disrupt the defensive signals and or an offensive signal ability, so they got to use a lot of hand signals or, different things like that, it can definitely affect the way their offense and defense as well. And then for the Bears, it just gives you that energy, man, to, you're home, this is where you're comfortable at, and you want to give the fans, the people that supported you throughout the entire season, something special, man. So that support from the fans is key, and that's why we fight for home field advantage when you play this game, man. So definitely, I heard about the boom. I've even seen some videos, man. Somebody shot me some videos of Club Boom in the locker room afterwards, which I thought was funny, man. Cause it shows his personality, man. Cause he's like that, you know what I mean? So it's awesome to see, man, and hopefully the fans bring it today. like I'm sure they will, because they're the Bears fans, they're diehard fans, man, and they love a winner. And these guys have been winning, man. So I can't see it being anything short of them being and having a big impact on this game as well.
Yeah, I mean, this team has really just outdone themselves this season. I mean, they're so likable, and a lot has to do with their head coach, Matt Nagy. Whether it's the whole boom thing that he does after a win in the locker room, or this club dub. I mean, they have like a party after each victory, and Nagy said that he kind of picked that up from Joe Madden, the Cubs manager. Both Philadelphia guys, and they have a close relationship. And this Bears team kind of reminds me of the 2015 Chicago Cubs team that kind of exceeded their expectations for that season. Joe Madden's first year, and they make a playoff run. Don't get it quite done. Don't win the championship just yet. They won it the next year in 2016. Again, all you have to do is get to the dance, and anything can happen. And we'll see what happens today with the Chicago Bears taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. But I don't think many expected this team to be a 12-4 team. But here they are hosting a playoff game, taking on the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. A couple more questions for you, Jamin, then I'll let you go. Again, really do appreciate your time. Always a blast chatting with you. Matt Nagy,
Absolutely.
I mean, like I said, man, this guy is one of the most well-liked guys already here in the state of Illinois. And obviously, when you're winning, things are great. But just the way he said this day one when he first got hired to the media. He said he's going to give everybody straight answers. He's not going to BS around, which was a breath of fresh air. Having John Fox here over the past few years, who really gave the media nothing. Matt Nagy and even Vic Fangio, they'll tell it like it is, and I think that's a big part of why the fan base likes Nagy, why the media gets along with him. At least here we are in year one, and they have a great relationship. Was he always like that as a player as well? Was he always kind of a straightforward teammate as well?
Yeah, Matt is probably one of the most transparent guys that you're gonna ever meet, man. Like he's always been a guy that spoke his mind, and it was never anything of malicious or anything like that. He was just always a guy that you always knew where he stood, and I just love the fact that, and I think guys appreciate a person who's open, he's one of those guys. He'll tell you if he doesn't know anything, he's not going to give you a BS answer. He'll just say, I don't know. You know what I mean? This is my first. I'm going through this is my first time going through it. I don't know all the answers. So I think it's refreshing to see a coach that who's open and transparent and is not afraid to say when he's done doesn't know everything. You know what I mean? So I think the fans want to see a guy who's just open and like I say, when you're winning, everything is great. And at some point during his coaching career, he will hit some adversity. So we'll see how he handles that as well. But I think he will, as long as he continues to stay the same Nagy that he's always been, from college all the way up. Then I think the Bears would and the organization, the fans, they will definitely continue to embrace him. But he has to continue to win, and like I say, that's one thing that I know that he will continue to do, because he's come from that pedigree. He's in high school, he's went to state championships. In college, we went to the national semifinals. He's went to the Arena Bowl when he played quarterback multiple seasons, and then he's been under winners as far as Andy Reid under his coaching and his tutelage. So he's always been that way, man. And like I say, everybody loves a winner. He has to continue to win, but I think him being transparent and him being open to the fans and just showing his personality, I think it's refreshing for them to see, and I think they enjoy seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely. One last question before I get your prediction, Jamin. What kind of quarterback was Matt Nagy? I mean, there's some highlights out there, but as a former college teammate and even as a pro teammate in the AFL, what kind of a quarterback was Matt Nagy? Do you see any Matt Nagy in the style of play that Mitch Trubisky plays? I mean, with some of these crazy plays that Nagy draws up, do you go, yeah, that totally makes sense because there were similar plays back at Delaware or back in the AFL. Do you see any of that?
Yeah, so it's funny. So during our college days, so we went to the University of Delaware, and anybody that follows Delaware knows that Delaware in the past was, when we were there, was a wing T offense. So we were running offense, a motion offense, kind of doing a bunch of different things. So when Nagy got there and he became the quarterback, Nagy was slow, so he wasn't a fast guy at all. He was a Bigfoot slow guy. You know what I mean? So he couldn't run the wing T offense in a running sense as some of the other smaller, quicker guys. When he got there, they actually they shifted a little bit from running the ball more to more passing. And when we finally got some guys on the outside that could really run and make plays, like myself and a guy named Eddie Conti coming out, and we had a guy Courtney Batt. So we had some guys that could make some plays. It became more of a throwing type offense. We still ran the ball, more than we threw it, but the percentage shifted up big time. And he would actually draw up plays on the sideline. Like he would adjust different plays during on the sideline. Would come out and one wouldn't work, so he would change it up in the middle of the game. The coaches didn't like it initially when we did it, but when the play worked, they added it to the arsenal. You know what I mean? So he's always had that creative mind where, if a certain coverage dictated a certain route or whatever, he would switch it up. So he's been like that. And arena, there's so much creativity in the arena league, man. Like it's so much creativity that goes into it. And he was the same way there, adding his input to the coaching staff and them implementing certain ideas that he had. So, like I said, he's always had that creative mind. And if you notice a lot of the things that he does with the motions and everything, we motion like a Delaware. So I'm sure he takes a lot of that from the Delaware because it helps, set the defense and it helps kind of, shows a little deception there. And, wing T was all about deception. So I think he got a little bit of that from that as well. But I definitely see the way that he calls the games and the kind of way he is. It definitely reminds me of when we were back at Delaware and also playing in the Arena League for a season as well.
Yeah, and if you remember the first play of the regular season, first offensive play for the Bears in the regular season against the Green Bay Packers on that Sunday night football game, first play, T formation, paid some homage to George Halas and the Chicago Bears. So, I mean, you absolutely – and that's just something I absolutely love. I mean, there's some guys that will go, oh, he's getting too cute, this and that. And, yeah, sometimes it could bite you in the ass, but when it works – he's gotten a little nickname here in Chicago, the mad scientist. When it works, you look like a genius, and everybody loves you. But when it doesn't, of course, people are going to give you a hard time. But you got to take the good with the bad, and things are great here in Chicago. Matt Nagy, what he's done with this organization, and of course, credit to Ryan Pace, who should probably win Executive of the Year. Again, the guy there in Indianapolis has also done a great job, Chris Ballard, but. I got to go with Nagy for Coach of the Year. I got to go with Pace.
We're going with our guy.
Hell yeah. You got it. Hey, Jamin, we got to get a prediction for you before I let you go, man. As always, great time chatting with you. The Chicago Bears, they are less than an hour away from hosting their first playoff game in 8 years. We're about 40 minutes away. Taking on the defending Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles, a very hungry team, a team that's been hit by some injuries at some crucial spots on the depth chart, but nonetheless cannot overlook them. I'm going Bears. I'm thinking 27-13. I'm thinking a 14-point victory. What say you?
So my prediction, man, I got 24-17 Bears taking it in. So. I think it's going to be closer than what a lot of people think. I think it's too. I think it's going to be more of a defensive game than the Bears will pull away late. But I see 24-17 Chicago, and like I said, I'm on the boom train with my guy, man. So I'll give you a big boom for him, man, and we'll go from there. Is that okay?
Go for it, man. Please.
So I'm gonna give you a 1, 2, 3, boom.
I love it, man, Jamin. Jamin, thank you so much for your time, especially late notice. Really do appreciate you hopping on the show. Again, just less than an hour away from the Chicago Bears game. I know you're going to be watching, and it should be a great game and very exciting times here in Chicago. The arrow is certainly pointed upwards. That is a fact with this organization. And, Jamin, we're going to have to chat again very soon because, it's been too long. I know we've only had you on the show once, and that was a year ago. We cannot let that time we cannot let that time spent happen again. We're gonna have to get you on very soon. And as always, a great conversation. Thanks so much for your insight and your time. It's greatly appreciated, man.
Absolutely, Christian, man. Always a pleasure to talk to you, man. Feel free to reach out anytime, man.
Absolutely. There he goes, Jamin Elliott, former NFL wide receiver, former Chicago Bears 6th-round draft pick, and former teammate of Matt Nagy back in their college days and even in the AFL as well. And gotta love that boom he gave at the end of that conversation. Both predicting a Bears victory, and whether it's 24-17 like Jamin predicted or 27-13, I'll be good either way as long as the Bears season does not end tonight, and I don't think it will. But it should be a great game. Thanks so much for everybody tuning in. Special thanks to Jamin Elliott for hopping on the air with Chris Shanafelt. And we'll be talking to you guys again shortly. So enjoy the game tonight and bear down.